Cusco, Peru, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. But behind its tourism and beauty lies a third world country where its people are suffering from inequality and extreme poverty. The Pura Vida Foundation first came to Peru 7 years ago. During the first 3 years, the foundation worked and set up programs for several orphanages and a government-run shelter for young girls.
Today's gonna be the day that they're gonna give it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do.
After witnessing how little the Peruvian government helps rehabilitate and care for these abandoned young girls, the Pura Vida Foundation took it upon themselves to open their doors to these lost and abused young children.
And I'm sure you've heard it all before, you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now.
For the past 4 years, the Pura Vida shelter has been housing up to 7 kids at any given time. We provide these children that have been exploited and severely abused rehabilitation, a chance to finish their schooling, and a family environment that they have been robbed of for most of their lives.
I'd like to say to you, but I don't know how. Said maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me.
The majority of the kids that come through our door are from the Andean communities of Peru. So not only do we provide a safe house for these children, we also work extensively within their communities and family members of these young children.
Today was gonna be the day they'll never bring it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead the way are blinding.
After 8 years of hard work and fundraising, the Pura Vida Foundation has reached its goal of having a permanent shelter for exploited and abused young girls. And in October 2013, we will commence building of a facility that can house and rehabilitate up to 50 kids. Not only are we going to provide housing and rehabilitation for kids from all over Peru, the Pura Vida shelter is also looking forward to setting up programs and workshops for the 12 Andean communities surrounding the town of Kaikai. For the past 8 years, the Pura Vida Foundation has sacrificed everything to give these kids a second chance at life. And in the past year, we have finally reached our goal of being able to build a permanent shelter for these amazing and resilient young kids. It might not be us that touches 1 million people, but maybe we will touch that one that will touch 1 million. So please, help us give these children the family they deserve, the care that they deserve, and the life that they deserve.
I'm going to bust out in song here. No, just kidding. Buenas tardes. Good afternoon. I just want to start off by saying thank you to Selkirk College and to the TED community for this opportunity to tell my story. Today I want to talk about change and what this word means to me. Because for each person, change can mean something completely different. For someone, it can mean trying to change their diet and or lifestyle in a positive way. Or for someone else, change can mean switching their iPhone 6 to an iPhone 6 Plus. But today, I'm going to tell you how a country and their people changed how I think and live my life today. 10 years ago, I traveled to Peru in hopes of photographing the Andean people and their way of life. Instead, I witnessed injustice and extreme poverty. And like many tourists, I wanted to dedicate a small portion of my trip to volunteering. So through a Spanish school that I was studying at, I volunteered at a government-run shelter for exploited and abused young girls. My time with those amazing children was not only eye-opening, but life-changing at the same time. I got to see how little the Peruvian government put into rehabilitating and educating these young girls. When my time ended with those amazing young children, I continued on with my travels. But for some reason, I couldn't get my experience with those kids out of my thoughts and dreams. Even jumping from hostel to hostel, party to party, those children's faces stuck with me. And everything that used to be important to me now seemed trivial. So when I returned to Canada, I vowed to myself that I would try to make a difference for those young girls. I started to fundraise, but I realized a lot of people don't donate to an unregistered charity. So in 2006, the Pura Vida Foundation was born. For the next 3 years, I fundraised and worked at that same government-run shelter. I was able to improve their time at the shelter by introducing art, music, and photography classes. But something was still missing. So I strongly disagreed in the methods they used to treat and rehabilitate those young girls. So I decided after 3 years that it was time to make a real difference in these children's lives. And in 2009, we received permission from the Peruvian government to open our own shelter for exploited, abused, broken, and neglected young girls. Not only do we provide them with therapy and the tools to move forward from their abusive past, we reintroduce them back into the public school system, an opportunity to go to university, and the most important thing, a loving family that they can call their own. When I made a decision 10 years ago to change, I never thought I would be where I am today. I strongly believe that we all want to help somehow, but we are bombarded with so many problems we don't know where to start. And what I believe is change starts with sacrifice. I have sacrificed many luxuries to be that change. I am 34 years old with a beautiful wife and a beautiful daughter. We live with my parents because as a household, me and my wife make $15,000 a year. In Canada, the average family income is $76,000. This is what we are willing to sacrifice to be that change. So the next time you talk about wanting to make a difference, think about what you are willing to give up to be that change. I just want to end my part of these talks with a story of a young girl named Sonia. I am telling you this story in hopes of changing the way we think, if not just for a second. I got to know Sonia while I was working at that government-run shelter. She also came to live with us for 6 months till she ran away. This story starts with a young girl being born into prostitution and abuse. Sonia's mother died giving birth to her, and like many third world countries, there was no place for her to go. So the neighboring family took it upon themselves to take Sonia in. But instead of giving her a loving family environment, they sold her as a child prostitute. Sonia was forced into this life at a tender age of 6. She lived the life of prostitution for over 4 years, till she escaped and was moved into a state-run facility. That is where I got to know this amazing young girl. It took a couple of months till she talked to me. I would always try to start up a conversation with my broken Spanish, which she got a real kick out of. And one day I asked her why she carried her little teddy bear everywhere she went. And she told me that it was the only thing she had left from her birth mother. So one Christmas, I took all the kids to give presents to some of the most impoverished areas in Cusco. And by the end of a long day, we gave out all the presents that I had bought. And on the way back, there was a young girl who came up to us and said she didn't receive a present. I apologized and tried to tell this 3-year-old kid that we had already given out all the presents we had. And I will never forget what happened next. Probably the most unselfish act I've ever witnessed. Sonia gave her teddy bear to that little girl. On the walk back, I asked Sonia why she gave her only memory of her mom and most prized possession to that little girl. And Sonia replied, she needed it more than I did. I was almost in tears. That one gesture is how I look at life now. They need it more than me. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Thank you.